Hey, what's up? This is Darnell Mason for MMAHawaii.com. Right now I'm kicking it here with Steve VanNess, promoter for GFC. So, Steve, what's the history of the Gracie Proving Grounds, Gracie Fighting Championships?
Well, the Gracie Fighting Championship, they've had two on the mainland now in Columbus, Ohio. And the Gracie Proving Grounds is where Helson wants to start pulling the fighters for the GFC. So instead of just getting a bunch of people all over, they're going to have to go through a proving grounds first. So we're going to have, this is the first annual proving ground here in Hawaii. And so Helson's been in Hawaii since 1988. So he's given a lot of the local fighters of Hawaii an opportunity to do well and then go on to represent Hawaii in the GFC next year.
So I guess it's kind of proven that, like, the UFC isn't the only way to, get on a big show. There are other shows. There are big shows on the mainland, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Matter of fact, the best name is still in MMA is the Gracie family. I mean, everybody is training Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and that's the best compliment in the world to the Gracie family, is that everybody, you're not a fighter today unless you train Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Right. And Holland Gracie, which is in our main event, which we're all excited to see, is the only son of Helson Gracie. Helson is the second oldest son of Helio. He's Royce Gracie's older brother.
Wow.
He was a guy that in the first several UFCs picked up Royce because he was the trainer of Royce. He was in the ring with him all the time. So his only son, Holland, which is only 20 years old, has been training with his dad and is now ready to take over the family name.
Wow. So I guess the Highland fight is definitely one you want to watch. So what are some fighters that you want all the fans to look out for this Saturday at the Blaze out the Gracie Proving Grounds?
There's several good ones. Bryson Kamaka from the 808 Fight Factory is a well-known fighter on the island. He's fighting Israel Gomez, straight out of Brazil. Israel Gomez is one of the partners of Anderson Silva from the UFC. Yes. And so he has got just excellent stand-up, and as well as he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So that should just be a wonderful stand-up fight or potentially go to the ground. Sugar Shane Nelson, coming out of Nova União, BJ Penn's camp in Hilo, is fighting a UFC veteran, Harris Sarmiento. Yes. So that's going to be an excellent fight. So there's a lot of fights. There's 3 or 4 Brazilian black belts that are coming straight from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to fight against some of the local fighters. So we're real excited about that.
So can you explain the rules of the Gracie Proving Grounds? I know they're a little different. They may seem a little old school to like Pride fans, but can you explain the rules of the?
It's going to be a lot more like Pride. Helson, they really started fighting in Japan a lot. The first big difference is going to be a 10-minute first round. So the cardio and someone being out of shape is going to tell right away. Yeah. So a 10-minute first round, a 5-minute second round with a 1-minute break in between. So that's the main difference. There's going to be a lot of striking allowed, soccer kicks, stomps, elbows, knees, even from the ground. So there are going to be protection points. So there's no to the top of the head, nothing to the spine. So obviously we're concerned about the protection of the fighter, but there will be a lot more allowed than in most events.
So what's the status of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or Gracie MMA like right now and into the future? Like, where do you see Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie MMA?
The Gracie family all around is now adapting their style as well. So what they are doing, because they have the best ground game, but in the last several years, since America is caught up in the ground game, and they're also doing wrestling and kickboxing, all of the Gracies are cross-training with that as well. So now you have the outstanding background of the ground game, but now Holland Gracie, he's been up in New York training with his uncle Hensel Gracie in the IFL area and training with that team. And they've been training stand-up and cardio and wrestling and dieting. So really they are coming full circle and understanding that they have to improve all around as well.
So where does the Gracie Fighting Championships, Gracie Proving Grounds fit in? There's so many organizations. You can rattle them off. Bodog, Strikeforce, Elite XC, UFC. I mean, where does GFC fit into that big MMA mix?
We are always going to have some of the very best fighters from Brazil coming over. The main events are always going to be either a Gracie or one of the top fighters in the world. And so, to be honest with you, I think that the GFC will be just as popular in the years to come. Rorion Gracie is the one who created the UFC.
Yes, he is.
I mean, and so Helson is the next brother below him, and they definitely deserve the opportunity to prove that their style is the best style, and that our events are going to be exciting. Our matchups, we're real concerned with the records, the weights, everything. We're going to do the best we can to try to have some great fights.
So, man, I guess is Michael Brightman?
Michael Brightman is actually a fill-in for another fighter that fell out that could not come from Texas.
Whoa!
So Michael Brightman is fighting Ron Verdadero from the Jesus is Lord camp.
Wow!
So that'll be exciting.
I mean, we're shocked. Why? Michael Brightman, just you know that guy is a competitor. I mean, hard, just well put together. Had a war last week of Rasta Bostabanias, and I mean, he's always ready. He's always looking for that test, looking for a person to hurt him. And Michael Brightman's definitely a scary dude, and it's great to see again another local fighter, getting a shot at the big show. Michael called, and his manager called after the event. I mean, that's how much a competitor he is. He went through a war with Rasta Boss, and then called from Hilo, and wanted to make sure that he could still get into the GPG, the Gracie Proving Grounds. So we're really excited to have Michael in the event. Yeah, like I said, shocked. Wow, shock and awe here. So you guys heard it here first. Heard the card. Gracie Proving Grounds starts, doors open at 6 p.m. at the Neil Blaisdell Center here in Honolulu, Hawaii. Grab your tickets. And if you want to go check out the weigh-ins, Dave & Buster's Friday at 5. So for Steve, this is Darnell Mason for MMAHawaii.com. Bring you real people, real fighters, and real pain.